What's up, YouTubians? Gary, VWJawbreaker. Welcome to kind of a crappy Florida day, but it is what it is. It's not 100 degrees, so I don't really care. It's wintertime in Florida. Today's crappy, tomorrow's rainy, and then more cold weather. Awesome. Behind me, we got Lulu, the 1976 Westphalia bus. We got it backed in the garage because we need to talk, and we have an upgrade that we need to do in order to hit some of these big trips I have planned for this year. So without further ado, let's just dive into today and get this work done. All right, so here's what we're dealing with here on Lulu. We have a solar charge converter, Bluetooth module. We've got some fuses here and an inline fuse block to be able to power everything in our bus. Problem is when we're driving down the road, we actually have a built-in panel up top here that pivots, and that is a 100-watt panel. So when we're parked somewhere, we can actually pivot this either way to be able to get our solar exposure. And also have a portable Renogy 100-watt flexible panel here that I can set up and tie in. That's all fine and dandy when you're parked somewhere. That gives me 200 watts of available solar when I'm parked. When I'm driving, the top panel, you know, as long as it's sunny, will give me some solar, not much. What could we do to charge these batteries while we're driving down the road? I got just the thing. Let me show you. So this here is a 40 amp DC to DC charger by LiTime. I'm sure you guys have heard of LiTime. They're all over the place. What makes this nice is you can easily dial in what type of battery you have. Is it lead acid? Is it gel? AGM? Lifepo4? Whatever. Problem I have is it's hard to find anything less than a 40 amp. Because if you look at your specifications for your batteries, there's a good chance that those BMS systems on the batteries may not allow you to charge at a full 40 amps. Not to mention, how strong is your alternator on an old classic vehicle? That's why I chose this one, because it actually has two little jumpers right here that you can jump the wires, and this reduces the volt amperage down to 20 amps. There you go. That's probably better for most of your lithium ion phosphate batteries that are out there, to charge at about a 20 amp. That's, you know, I'm running two 100 amp hour lithium ion phosphate batteries, the Lifepo4 batteries. I'm running two of those. Be honest with you, anything more than about 20 amps, the BMS may not like it. Again, how strong is that alternator on there? I don't know, 50, 60 amp maybe? Why max out the alternator? Charge at 20 amps, you'll be fine. Unfortunately, that's kind of a big honker, and we have limited space here. So I need to kind of reorganize this, push some of this up some, and then we should have plenty of room to mount that DC to DC charger right there. So let's get after it. All right, well, we got some stuff moved around, kind of condensed a little bit more. Now, I've got the positive and negative out of the solar charge controller coming down into my fuse block, so I can actually pull the fuse if I wanted to, and it automatically kills all the power. I've also got a inline circuit breaker down there that feeds this main power wire, so this whole thing is dead. And of course, we'll tidy up the wires and whatnot once we get everything kind of in place where it needs to be. So here's how the install is going to go. I picked up some 6-gauge wire, and I've also got another inline resettable circuit breaker. So this is going to tie into the main start battery, right? Because that's where your alternator charges to, is this. Off of this end, we're going to go to the input of the DC to DC converter, right? We'll hook up a ground, and then the output goes to our house batteries. So the previous owner or somebody somewhere put some holes down in there. I need to open them up a little bit more to be able to get the wires in there in a proper grommet. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and mount that and start all the wiring. So I'll take you along here in a moment and we'll show you. Well, I hate it when you drag the camera around and never hit the record button. So let me bring you up to speed. So we've got our DC to DC mounted, of course. Under here, here's our start battery, which is a Wiz AGM. We've got our positive negative coming off of there to a 60 amp inline fuse. All the wires then are zip tied up along the harness, come around and come in. Now coming off of the battery, for our house batteries, I've got a 60 amp inline resettable breaker again, comes up, comes into the output of this DC to DC. Negative comes down and goes to the negative. So therefore, when the bus is running, this should in turn charge those house batteries. Now, to kind of simplify things a little bit, my fuse block, I ran here and used this as a junction. In theory, should do the same as what it was doing before. I guess we will find out. Now, I'm not really in love with how this is. However, it's about really the only option I have in order to make things work in the space that I have. So that's where it's going. Now we need to go ahead and put the little jumpers in line. So instead of charging at 40 amps, it'll charge at 20 amps. Let me show you that. Now in your kit, it comes with these two little red and black wires, jumper wires, and right here in the kit, it shows you exactly how to do it. So we'll take and run the wires in just like that, loop them around, and that will take us from a 40 amp charge to a 20 amp charge. And just like that, our jumpers are installed. Now it's time to power things up and see if I did anything wrong. Cross fingers. Well, I guess there's nothing left to do but to test things. So let's dive into what I set up here. We've got my meter hooked up to my actual fuse block, and right now it's reading nothing. Everything is shut off. I have the inline fuse shut down over here coming off the main battery to the input here. I've also got my house battery shut off. But if I go ahead and flip on right there, got 1375, and we're not powering this up. So literally this right here is just acting as a junction block to be able to run everything I have. So for some reason this malfunctions, we have some kind of short, something happens, I can still run everything. This right here is just junction block. So let's kill this and let's turn this one on up top here. I heard something click. We are switched right there for Lifepo4 battery. All right. Oh, we're showing 1462. Interesting, because that is actually interesting. So again, we are bypassing our batteries right now. We're not even running off our house batteries. We're running off of our main battery. So I guess turn this on. Drop down a little bit. All right, I guess let's fire her up. Interesting, I went ahead and hooked up got a smart shunt in line, so it actually shows what's going on. And if you notice, I'm actually getting some amperage into my house battery. I wonder if that means it's gonna kill my battery as it sits. It's slowly going down. So we'll let it sit for a minute. I mean, it hasn't been powered up until now, so. Still going down. All right, let's let it sit for a minute, see what happens. All right, well, let's fire up and see what happens, I guess. We're in neutral. She's cold too. All right. And the exhaust leak. Yeah. Still putting some power into it. See what happens when we give her a little rev. Oh, hold on. Here, let's move you down here so we can see better. Again, and it's infinite wisdom, those batteries are pretty much full, so they're really not going to charge right now. I like it though. Well, that's it. She's working perfect. I mean, I didn't really expect anything less from LiTime, but it's working perfect. Everything balanced out 0. We are good. Everything a-okay. Now, that was 10 feet of 6-gauge wire that I used, and I had a little bit left over the way I routed things. So, well, that's the other wire. So I had some positive negative left over, so you actually would have enough to run over to your battery, run with that switch in line. Again, I had a little bit left over. That's about how much left out of 10 feet. Now, did I need to run 6-gauge wire because I'm running 20 amps? Absolutely not. But if you read the manual, it recommends 6-gauge wire for the 40 amps for about 10 feet or so. Definitely follow the manufacturer's recommendations and be careful with things. That's why I also put in inline circuit breakers. You know, again, you know, if this was running at 40 amps, you'd want to put a 60 in there. That's what I ran 60 amp. Now the other one has, I believe, an 80 amp on it. It's basically, you know, you only want to run about 80% of what your load is for the, yeah. Basically size up your breaker. Don't run it, you know, if you're running 40 amps, don't put a 40 in. Run about 10-20% more, and that way you've got some leeway. So that's it. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for stopping by. Let me know what you think of this. You think this was a worthwhile upgrade? I don't know. To me, I've got about a 10-hour trip coming up in about 3 months. Be nice to keep those batteries topped off while I'm driving, get to where I'm going, be 100%, and with 200 amp hour battery under there, I really don't have to worry about putting solar out for a couple days. And then the whole drive home, batteries are charging. This is gonna be nice. And I appreciate LiTime for sending this out. Thank them so much for putting their trust in me with their brand. So till the next time, guys, be kind to one another and be good.